What's going on, car nerds? Welcome back to the Fuel for Thought podcast and episode 52. It's officially an entire year of episodes, technically.
Crazy.
Yeah, we already did the big 50, but today we've got a pretty interesting one today. Kevin, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the new Holy Trinity. It's pretty exciting. Yeah.
So for those who don't know, what's the Holy Trinity?
So 10 years, which is crazy to me, 10 years ago, McLaren, Porsche, and Ferrari all released these insane cars all around the same time, just directly competed with each other. So we had the P1, the 918, and the LaFerrari, and that changed the game.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I remember, I think it was the last couple episodes of Top Gear or the first couple episodes of Grand Tour. I don't remember what it was. But either of those had the episode where they kind of went head to head. They were still restricted in terms of they couldn't do full drag 100 meter races or quarter mile races. So each of the Top Gear lads had the chance to drive one of these, and Mr. Slowly or whatever the fuck they call him, I think he did the 918. No, I think that was Richard Hammond. Yeah, he did the...
James May had the LaFerrari.
Right, yeah, which is actually interesting. And then collecting the P1.
Yeah, but it was interesting because Ferrari put so many restrictions on it. Mm-hmm. He had to lorry it to destination so he couldn't actually drive it. He couldn't do it on a racetrack. There's just so many things that were limiting the Ferraris at. It's
kind of weird. And even I know Richard Hammond had to sit out for the quarter mile race or whatever, or even where they went head to head because they're not technically allowed to test if one of them is faster than the other. Mm-hmm. All these weird legal loopholes that the companies somehow thought of. But anyway, really, really good if you guys want to go watch that. But this Holy Trinity is now coming back after 10 years.
Sort of. We'll get into that.
Anyways, first, rapid fire news. What's this one about?
So we already talked about this, the new Corvette ZR1, and that thing is super impressive.
For you Americans, that's ZR1, but yes. But yeah, this thing is ridiculous. When I saw it come out, I know, is it a year or 2 years that they stagger from the original C8?
I think it's 2.
Or every generation. Okay, yeah, so usually they release all the models except the ZR1, and then after 2 years, or 1 year, I'm not sure exactly, probably 2, the ZR1 comes out, and this thing is such a beast. So,
it still hasn't been released.
Yeah.
But it is by far the best bang for your buck you can get. So, I mean, it's still expensive. $180,000 MSRP. This is estimated. It's not confirmed yet. But for that, you're getting 1,064 horsepower.
It's actually insane if you think about anything else, the value for money that you're getting there. Think about the LaFerrari, which is over $1 million. You've got what's even equivalent? I don't think there's much.
Or around there.
I guess the new Ferraris, the F80, but that's also not going to be cheap either.
No. But to me, the most impressive thing is the C6 or C7 Corvettes. Sure, the block itself is insane, and you can get them to 1,000 horsepower. But they're not under warranty. This thing has a factory warranty.
That's insane. And for 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
So yeah, how does it get to that power though? What kind of engine?
Twin turbo V8.
Yeah, that's insane. Because it's interesting to see American cars go this way, because usually, Americans are all raw power, make it just, the big 392 Hemi block or something. They always have these just naturally aspirated behemoth engines, like the Dodge Viper, for example. It's got 8.2 liter V10. And now they're kind of going the opposite route. They started with superchargers, now they're throwing turbos on this. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting because before that, I feel like they were pretty reserved. So the C7 and everything before that was all just the usual you're used to seeing, supercharged V8 or just V8, rear-wheel drive, manual. But they just completely rewrote the script with C8. They went rear-engined. That's never happened before for a Corvette. Then they went, for the Z06, they did inspiration from the 458.
Yeah.
So an Italian V8. And now the ZR1 twin turbos. So every single iteration of the C8 is something brand new, never seen before.
It's so cool though too, because even if you look at we've talked about this before on the pod, and that's the change in their styling and how impressive it is, how far they've come in such a short amount of time. Like if you look at the C6 interior, like it looks like just a Dodge truck. Yeah, and now they look like, like you said, like Ferrari 458 interiors. And I think is it technically mid-engined? I think it's mid, right?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
I never understand the difference. Like rear is mid because you can't put it where the driver is, so that doesn't make sense to me.
It's in the back, which is not what they used to do.
Exactly. And like I've heard these things, I think the Z06 with like exhaust systems, and it sounds ridiculous. Like it's pretty high revving too. Mm-hmm. So it actually does sound close to like Ferrari level, which is super impressive.
Yeah. For me, I've always wanted a 458 because I think it sounds insane.
Yeah.
And it was like the last NA V8 from Ferrari. But now that the Corvette Z06 came out and it sounds pretty similar like specs. Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't have to pay $250,000 because 458s are going up in prices.
Yeah.
You can get Z06 for maybe 120.
It's crazy. We gotta admit the looks for me aren't quite there yet. It's not my favorite looking. Yeah, I honestly love the look of the C7 Corvette Z06. And
for sure, yeah.
Those are like classic, like they still had that American flair, but this is kind of going too far the other way. It almost looks like a GTA car, I find. So
I can see that.
It's cool.
I feel they've done better with the center exit exhaust and the wing of the Z06 and the like front splitter.
Yeah.
Makes it more aggressive, but I agree with you. It looks like a pickup.
Especially like just the standard, Stingray. Like I just don't love the look of it. But again, personal preference. Maybe you guys like it, but personal preference again. But this thing's gonna be crazy when it hits the streets. Like I'm really excited to see what kind of, first of all, the tunes that people are gonna do, because these are gonna have 2,000 to 3,000 horsepower pretty soon. And second is just like hearing the different exhaust systems with those turbos. I'm guessing they'll probably sound similar to like a Koenigsegg. That's all I can imagine.
That's a good point, because like before the Corvette mark was like you hit 1,000 horsepower, but this from the factory already has it. So what's gonna be the next mark?
Like stage 1 is like 1,500.
Yeah, 2,000 horsepower, because the block's already there.
Yeah.
All the components are already there. Just put bigger turbos, a tuner, and exhaust, and
it's not going to take much. And I mean, it's American engine, so those turbos you can just flip them off in 15 minutes and put new ones on. So, this is going to be really cool to see when this hits. Do you know roughly when these are supposed to hit the market?
I was saying like early 2025, I believe.
Okay, so pretty soon.
But it's the same thing with the Z06. Like, it's been out for a while. And dealerships kind of do this gatekeeping thing when they jack up MSRP and hope that someone's actually willing to pay those insane numbers. So I would give it probably till next summer that we start seeing them.
Yeah.
Maybe even later. Because like the Z06, I've only seen 2 or 3.
Crazy. Yeah, I haven't seen many either. I've seen a lot of Stingrays, but... Yeah.
I mean, there's high demand, so they're...
Yeah, I mean, there's tons to look forward to in the car world nowadays. I mean, it seems like we rapid fire news almost every episode, so that's great. But yeah, now on to the main topic.
The main topic.
Do you want to kick us off with this one?
Yes. So, the Holy Trinity is back. It's just been announced. I think this week the Ferrari announced the F80.
I just spoiled it at the start. No, I didn't even realize.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Everyone kind of knows, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's also technically rapid fire news too.
Yeah. Ferrari announced the next follow-up car to the LaFerrari.
Yeah.
We have our opinions about it. We'll get into that. McLaren announced, I think like 2-3 weeks ago, the replacement of the P1.
Yeah.
The next generation McLaren.
What's this one called again?
The W1.
Yes, W1.
So they have F1, P1, W1.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's random letters.
I don't really know what they mean anymore, but...
and then Porsche, you see, this one's a bit tough. So, they released a concept car, and I feel like Porsche does this a lot. They release a concept, and they're always like, oh, we're never going to build this. It's never going to be in production. It's just to showcase what we can build. But the thing they're doing is actually gauging the market and seeing if they have inquiries about the car, because this Porsche is called the Mission X, and it was very well received, but it had one issue: fully electric powertrain. And as we can see with like Rimac and Pininfarina, they're struggling to sell the like all electric hypercars. They only built 150 Rimacs and they haven't even sold a third.
Really?
Yeah, they're struggling really hard.
What's the price point on those things?
I think it's 2.1 million.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. And like
for a mobile phone.
Yeah, I get the appeal of like crazy acceleration, but I feel like these hypercars are built around like raw power and noise and like...
Yeah, it's just the overall experience, which sure you're getting that from acceleration, but there's not that aspect of sound and like feeling the engine.
It's missing a wow factor.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I mean, there's kind of loses its oomph when you don't have any sound, when you just it's like you might hear the whirring of the electric motors. Again, maybe we have to experience it first, then we can. I mean, I'm sure it's still exhilarating, but
yeah. So let's get into powertrains because that's a big controversy. So as we talked about the Porsche all electric, I feel like they released this car and then were like kind of doubting themselves. So now they've kept quiet. Obviously, journalists, now that the other two cars have released, are like pressuring Porsche, like, hey, are you building something? Are you building something? And they're being very shady. Mm-hmm. They're like, we may have something, we may not have something. So potentially something's coming down the line, but just not with electric, hopefully.
That would be cool if they did something, but...
Yeah.
I feel like, all the other companies that were making V12s, like, there's Ferrari and everything, they're now down to V6. So I feel like Porsche's always been a flat 6, so they need to go electric now. Because it's like the same shift almost.
Well, the 918 was a V8. So
that's true.
They can, and technically, like, the other hypercar they built was a Cura GT, so that was a V10.
That's a good point.
So they do build big engines.
They just use their flat 6 on everything else.
Yeah. I mean, the Panamera Turbo has a V8 twin turbo.
And the GTS.
They could use that. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, their V8s are pretty sweet. So honestly, if they used any of those in any of their hypercars now, but again, it'll probably be some adapted hybrid version if they do end up doing that. So probably pretty similar to the McLaren, which is probably your next point.
Yes. So McLaren, we've talked about this. It's pretty disappointing. I feel like they just stick to one power plant. Since the MP4-12C, it's always been a V8 twin turbo, and this is the same thing, the W1.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mercedes and their AMG power plants nowadays.
Exactly.
With the V8 twin turbo.
And this one is basically the same thing as the P1, so it's a hybrid V8 twin turbo. It has pretty good power though.
Okay.
Big jump from the P1, which I think was around 900 something. This is 1250, 1258.
See, these numbers are getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, even just thinking about the fact that people, like, an ordinary car, if it has, like, over 400 horsepower, is considered, like, fast. It's like, this is 3 times that. Mm-hmm. Like, and we're just throwing these numbers out. Of course, they're hypercars, but in a couple of years, you know.
As we see with the Corvette, like, exactly. It's catching up.
Yeah, and for $180,000, you can have 1,000 horsepower.
Even the Rivielto also broke 1,000.
It's ridiculous, yeah. It's impressive.
And then the controversy here is the Ferrari. That is...
I was a bit disappointed, I'm not going to lie.
Yes. I feel like the general consensus, like I was reading articles and watching comments on YouTube and stuff, and general consensus is they went from a V12 power plant to now a V6 twin turbo. That's a huge drop.
That sucks. Especially after they just released, like, you know, they have the Parasangue, which is that SUV with the V12.
Yeah.
They have the 12 Cylindri, which is also a V12. Like, why did they go with a V6 power plant in this thing? They didn't have to. Maybe to balance out emissions for the overall brand. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we might get into that a bit later because there's a whole... like, they explain their logic behind it, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's just a bit weird.
Yeah.
It's... like restrictions and emissions are ruining the industry for sure, but at the same time I feel like there's other ways than just throwing in the flag and just be like, well, that's it, like our hands are tied.
Yeah, just like not innovating any further.
Yeah, because if we look at McLaren, they're still using the same power.
Yeah. It seems to be like creativity again. Maybe McLaren's just stuck to their ways and they're like, no, we can't be in V6, it's impossible. But I don't know. But again, like, I'm looking at this 0 to 60 time, like 2.2 seconds for the Ferrari.
It is pretty crazy.
Insane. I mean, me and you, it was what was it again, a Kia or a Hyundai? I always forget.
Kia.
Yeah, that electric Kia that went 0 to 16, I think it was 3 seconds or 3.2. Something like that.
I have to check our Instagram. I feel like it was in the 4s.
I thought it was 3 that was advertised, but I could be wrong. But anyway, that felt fast. So I can't even imagine shaving like at least a second off of that.
Yeah.
Like that must be like G-force in your neck, kind of breakneck speeds, and it's all-wheel drive.
Yeah, so that's how they're achieving that, because you can only put so much power down in the rear wheels without losing traction. So
Yeah.
they moved to all-wheel drive now, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe because I'm biased and I really like the LaFerrari, and I think they perfected that car. But I feel like this lost its soul. Like the LaFerrari is, burnouts and loud.
You literally just sent me a video today.
Yeah.
That thing is insane. Like stage two. Oh my god.
And like,
that's ridiculous.
There's so many videos of a LaFerrari just being wild, like losing
sick.
traction. But you can't do that in this thing.
But you know what? Like the LaFerrari is like, if you think back to like the Enzo or like the F40, it still embodies that character, that like driver experience. You know what I mean? But this, I mean, maybe once it comes out, we'll hear different stories. But it just doesn't seem like it's gonna have that same appeal.
It's very tech focused. So their whole, I watched the unveiling of it, and the whole pitch, the whole like thing they were focusing on is, look how smart this car is. Like all the aerodynamics, and it adjusts, the suspension actually adjusts with the way you're driving. And there's a cat. And like how the batteries work together, and how it's sending torque to different wheels. It's like cool, but like,
yeah. Can we get a V12?
Yeah, like it just lost its soul. I feel like it went, you know how BMW, people always complain about BMWs just being like engineering. There's no fun.
It's over-engineered.
Yeah, I feel like that's what happened here.
Yeah.
They just focus on the engineering and lap times, and then they unveiled it to the public. Because even the people saying, like at Ferrari, are saying it's not a pretty car, it's like a functional car.
I don't know, I have mixed feelings, because there's 2 reasons someone who has, I mean, the price tag 3.1 million, that amount of money to spend on a car. The first is as an investment, like a collector car. And the second is to get the ultimate driving experience. And I feel like that second point is something that they've kind of fallen short on here. Because if you think about anything where you introduce tech, right, like AI or whatever, the big craze is right now, it's all about autonomous, You're not doing the work. You're not controlling anything. And that's kind of the whole purpose of experiencing a car. It's like that's why people love manual cars. You're in control. You're shifting the gears. You're controlling the steering wheel. You're, making sure ABS is on or off, and you're doing that work. But the more autonomous these cars become, the less it's going to be an experience. It's just going to be the car driving you instead of the other way around, which is kind of sad to see. But
yeah,
it's life, I guess.
So there's our spiel. Let's quickly go through it. So the interesting thing is, so McLaren stuck to 400 units, and then Ferrari did 799, so essentially 800 units.
We already know that's bullshit. Ferrari never gives us the true numbers.
At this point, it might be. I feel like the internet...
800, 1200, what's the difference, right?
Yeah. But the thing I found interesting is the LaFerrari was 399 or 499. But then they released the Aperta. So in theory, there's like probably close to 800. But I think because they sold 800 here, maybe there won't be a roadster version of the F80. That's my guess. Maybe they'll make another 200 and call it 1,000. Maybe
they just want more money. It's possible.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, that covers the specs. Now, let's look at a deep dive. So first of all, this is the Mission X concept. And my God, is this thing beautiful?
Pop it in right here. That thing, it looks like a Koenigsegg.
Kinda.
It's got the same vibe to it.
I feel like, when you watch these movies that are like in the future, and this is what cars will look like in the future, this is it. But this is well done. Like, this is realistic.
It doesn't look out there, crazy. But it looks like down to earth, like I said, look at the windshield, right? It's round. You literally have that Koenigsegg feeling. The headlights, the front, even the wheels a little bit. That's really cool.
Yeah,
and I haven't seen that.
Even the spec itself, the interior is brown, the exterior is some sort of
copper. Very unique, like copper brown, gold. That's sick.
It looks amazing. Like I said, they haven't confirmed this specific car. But the thing I find interesting is they made this apparently he drives, and then they said it's supposed to be the fastest car around the Nürburgring. It's like, cool, but you haven't even made the car. Like, you haven't...
Yeah, like, how can you even know that?
But yeah, they've been real quiet about this since unveiling it. So who knows what's going to happen. And I feel like now that the other two companies released it, they're feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
So they're probably building something in the
Ramping it up,
background. And
for sure.
I
mean, honestly, even if it is electric, this would be really cool to see on the street.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, I underestimated how this thing would look.
Usually, like, I hate concepts.
Me too.
They're like too, I don't know, out there. But this one is just...
Yeah, you can't picture it, like, driving on the road, but this one, I can see it, you know? Like, it would just... You can just imagine it beside, like, a Toyota RAV4, and just, like, how ridiculous it would look on the road.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely sick.
Yeah, so we're going to keep it short because there's not really much to talk about.
That's fair.
But now, the thing... So we're going to cover the McLaren W1. The thing I found weird about this one, so all the P1s are, not all of them, but majority of them are bricked right now because the battery packs went flat. And to get one, first of all, is $250,000, and there's a wait list of like 2 to 3 years to get the battery packs.
Really?
So that's why they're selling so cheap at auction, because you can't drive it.
That's so stupid.
If the batteries are not working, the engine will not work.
Jesus.
So
wait, why are the batteries failing? Is it just like cold or something? Or?
No, it's because, well, you know how, let's say, I don't know, you don't drive your car for a while, and apparently even if you leave it on trickle charge, it doesn't do enough. It doesn't provide enough power to the battery pack, and it'll like run flat, and essentially they just won't work anymore.
That's so stupid.
If the voltage is too low, it won't actually like work, and then you can't use a car because it's tied into the engine. And a lot of cars are having issues. So there's another company in the UK that's like building battery packs.
Yeah.
But that's where you have to pay a lot of money and wait, because every owner essentially wants one. And it's weird that they're going the same route with the W1.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, even like my car battery in my car, like Audi does this too. I don't know what's different about that. It might be like the materials used in the battery, but if it dies once, you have to buy a new battery. Like you can't charge anymore. It doesn't hold a charge. So I don't know. Maybe it's a similar kind of story. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But I know it's been a big issue, and hopefully they figured out the battery technology, or it's not. The engine's not dependent on the batteries.
Right.
So we'll see.
Just like separate systems, hopefully.
That would be good, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, the aero on this thing is freaking crazy.
Yeah, this thing looks... Like, it looks, like, flattened out from, like, the P1, you know what I mean? Like, the spoiler's behind the car almost, and, like, lower. You've got the roof line that's even lower than normal. Like, you can see how it'd be slippery in a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, and that's something we've, like, come to expect from McLaren at this point. Even the F1, I think it was one of the first cars to have active aero.
It's pretty cool.
In the 90s, and P1 was insane, like the wing and constantly adjusting. I got to see that in action on a racetrack once.
That's so cool.
And like, guy comes around the corner, the wing's like up to like push down the car, and then like accelerates, and then it like adjusts and kept going down and down as the faster he got. I was like, holy shit, like,
it's pretty cool.
You have probably a whole like computer just working and doing, like, figuring out what level it should be
sensors and like figuring out wind speeds and like flow of the air and everything.
And just to think about the team that built this, like, it's not just like one dude like putting this. No, there's like a team of engineers just for the wing.
It's crazy. Again, we're kind of getting with McLaren to that point where it's like technology is almost like taking over the car. That's kind of the other. Yeah, I don't know, but they're doing it on the exterior more than the interior, which is nice. It's not necessarily the driving experience; it's enhanced.
I feel like they've always done that, because even I'm sure you've seen like pictures of the interior. It's just like a screen, and then you got two buttons.
Yeah,
and that's
super.
That's it. It's like simple driver focus, and like tech is all over the car, and it's always been like that. So it's kind of to be expected from them.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I do have is like, especially obviously not these cars, but when I see McLaren, like a 570S or whatever, all the different models, I just don't have the same appeal as when I see a Lambo or a Ferrari. I don't know why. It might be a personal preference thing, but I just noticed, like, it's like, oh, cool, it's a McLaren. It's like, but that's it, you know? Mm-hmm. There's not really a whole lot of exhaust noise going on. There's not a lot of crazy things to look at with it. It's just like, oh, cool, you know?
I kind of get that.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same appeal, at least to me.
Some of the models are, I want to say, basic-ish. Mm-hmm. But I saw the other day is 765 LT and like this beautiful blue. And
those are pretty nice. I think the 5s are something that I don't love.
570S is like the baby.
Yeah.
They don't make it anymore, but that was like the baby McLaren.
What's that new one with like the weird headlights? It's also like a really small, weird looking thing. It's a GT maybe?
A Tura. Or they have the McLaren GT.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm thinking of. I don't know. Anyway, there's just too many models to even think about, but...
Yeah. I would love to see... this is probably never going to happen, but the OG Top Gear guys reviewing all three of them.
I think it might happen. Yeah. They'll find a way.
Yeah, but technically they don't have...
Grand Tour.
Yeah, they quit that.
Shit, okay. Well, hopefully they start another one. We got Jeremy Clarkson's farm or whatever.
Or, so yeah, a YouTube channel or something.
Somebody's on there, yeah. Anything.
Yeah. And now let's get to the Ferrari F80. The
OG, but V6, unfortunately.
Yeah. The thing that I found hilarious is this is supposed to be their flagship car, which is now a V6. But the Daytona SP3, which is... I don't know if they're still building, but it was like 1 or 2 years ago. That thing had a V12, NA V12, no batteries, no nothing. And I feel like the SP3 is more worthy of being the hypercar than...
So was that like a race car, like track focused?
No, it was just like a tribute, essentially. But they ditched the batteries, just V12.
Oh, is this the one we saw in Yorkville? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not the Flex, we saw
That's pretty crazy, yeah. Everyone was kind of standing around, and we weren't allowed to get closer to it. But yeah, I'd never even heard of it. So crazy.
Yeah, very limited and very expensive car.
How many of those did they make?
I don't know. It might be under 100, maybe 120.
That's insane.
Something like that. Yeah, but very limited, and yeah. Anyways, so the F80 is built on the race car. And to be fair, this race car has proven itself. It's won numerous races. This is the 499P. I don't know what category it fits in. It's not Formula 1. I think it's P1.
It's like a cup car or something. Yeah, like a...
LM1 or something like that. But yeah, this thing is insane. It's won, it's put in the work. And it has like crazy technology. So transmission, engine, aero, they all pulled that from the winning race car. And I feel like that's what Ferrari does. It like proves itself on the racetrack, and then it's like, let's take this and then sell it in a road going car.
It's also kind of cool to think if you have a car like that. I mean, maybe not so much with this one, but that you have like kind of a piece of that winning car. That's kind of cool.
And that's why... I feel like that's why a lot of the old Ferraris, like the 250 GTO or the 250 short wheelbase, have so much value and like are the most expensive cars in the world because they have that racing history. Absolutely. And they were built for the racetrack and they won. And
it's like the GT40, like Ford.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of what Ferrari has built. So that's moving forward, these things are probably going to be classics because they are so well known around the world, not only for race car fans, but also like street car fans. So yeah, the race car looks pretty insane.
Looks sick, yeah. We'll pop all these photos in the video too for you guys, but yeah, I do like the look of it. Again, it's a shame it's a V6. I would have liked to see, that's literally half the 499P engine, so...
Yeah.
It's a little depressing.
RPM, I read somewhere that it was 13,000, which would have been sick, but it's only it's 9,200.
It could still sound good. I don't know. It's possible. With the right exhaust system.
Yeah.
It is a Ferrari after all, so maybe their V6s won't be complete shit. I don't know if I've heard of Ferrari V6 before.
I've heard the, 296 GTB or... because they have a V6 in one of the little cars, and I don't know, it sounds like an EcoBoost.
Fuck, I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I would hope for people that are paying 3.1 million or more for a car that it doesn't sound like an EcoBoost.
And that's what I've never understood from the new Ford GT too.
Exactly, yeah.
It looks so sick, but it should have had an LS or like a sick V8 engine or something.
Well, the thing I don't understand is they have the Coyote V8.
Yeah.
They have the supercharged V8 from the GT500, even the GT300. The
Honestly, like the fucking Raptor engine, they could have used anything.
Yeah, but
Crazy.
whatever. It sold well and still selling well. So.
It looks amazing. I can't. And just that button where it just like slams and the wing comes up. That's like the coolest feature I've ever seen.
That's crazy.
So American. I love it.
Yeah. So for you, if anyone in our audience cares or has the money to buy one of these, sadly they're all sold out.
Already?
It was quick. The thing they do is like for special customers, you get to see the car unveiled before the public, and then you get to put your pre-orders, and they do that all around the world. So if you're well connected enough to buy one of these, you would have already known about these cars. But to the general public, us peasants who can afford these things,
And they're already gone.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So to wrap up the episode, I think honestly this resonates really hard. Something James May said is chasing Nürburgring lap times ruins cars, and I really feel like this is concreted by these cars right here.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of Porsches were ruined by that, especially because they're German, and that's just like their automatic track that they go to. But no, I remember him saying that, and I agree too. It's just like built for that, built into
Lap
wind tunnels.
times.
Exactly.
It's
Technology, lap times. It's not really focused on driver experience, and that's too bad.
But I feel like Lambo's sticking to that, which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's one thing I'm like confused about is they're chasing these lap times, the perfect lap times, but all of that so owners can like buy these and then drive in LA or Monaco. Like
That's the thing. It's like it's all city driving in first and second gear. It's like
yeah,
you never even get above like 50 miles an hour. It's like what are we doing this for?
yeah.
It's just like a flex, really.
But they're all sold out, so I guess they know what they're doing.
Honestly, it makes more sense if you're rich to just buy like a nice Rolls Royce, If you don't care about cars that much, even if you do, I mean, you still got a V12 if you want to stage one your Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I'm assuming these are probably investment cars.
Probably.
Like, majority of them are probably going to stay in collections forever, and 10 years, maybe 15 years down the line, try to make a cool buck.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It is what it is.
Let's hear your guys' opinions in the comments.
Yeah.
What do you think about these new cars?
Which one would you drive? Considering the Mission X would come out. Yeah, me too. CR1 all the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So that's the Holy Trinity, or so to speak. I think we only have two right now, but hopefully Porsche gets their shit together, and then we can actually make a follow-up video on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else? Cool. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. This has been episode 52. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.